The Smack is back, and for 1 week only we are out of your house and back in good old Britain to review and talk about some new, fresh, glistening NXT UK footage, which we've sorely needed, at least I have. To be honest with you, I think I'm having withdrawal symptoms. Worry not though, because the trail of reviewing every In Your House will return next week with In Your House 5 Season's Beatings, and then every week thereafter. And I think once NXT UK returns full time, we'll most probably go twice weekly until we've got through every In Your House, because I sat and added it up recently, and to do every In Your House once a week would take us into January, and I'd like them done before Christmas. So that's the plan. Once NXT UK is back for good, we'll probably go Monday and Friday, or maybe Monday and Thursday, reviewing the week's NXT UK before. But let's play that by ear, because we don't know when NXT UK is coming back yet, but the sooner the better. For now though, I am of course your host, the Maniac Matt, and I am buzzing because this week I get to renew a brand new Pete Dunne match for you all, and any long time listeners will know how much I love the man. I mean, obsessed is a strong word, so let's stick to love, but you know, bordering on obsession, possibly. But before we get into a brand new episode of NXT UK, you can find me on Twitter as always at The Perfect Tenant. You can find Travis on Twitter at The HibickyTMD. Go to unionsmack.bigcartel.com for all of your official merchandise from Travis's shows, and lulu.com, where you can pick up a copy of my first book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, and my second book, NXT UK Year 1, coming next month at last. I feel like I've been writing it for 10 years. Oh boy, it is good to be back with NXT UK after 10 weeks, I tell you. The last time we recorded anything NXT UK, it was another Hidden Gems episode, and in fact it was our 3-year anniversary, now I think about it. But it's been months since we've had any fresh NXT UK tapings or television, but that will change very shortly. Fingers crossed anyway. Now, before we crack on with reviewing NXT UK episode 107, 107 episodes, my god, we have a little bit of news for you. I usually review this on Tenant Talks, but I just don't know what's happening with Tenant Talks at the minute, because there's so little UK news that I don't want to put out, you know, a 2 or 3 minute episode, etc. So Tenant Talks has sort of been shelved at the minute, but it will be back as soon as NXT UK kicks off again, and you know, there's news and there's things to talk about. I'm sure Tenant Talks will return. This week on social media and several so-called wrestling news sites, and I use the term, you know, news sites in inverted commas, news broke that WWE are gearing up for the NXT UK revival by filing trademarks for NXT talent names, and these include Zack Gibson and Pretty Deadly. Now, it's a good business decision, you know, protect your product, protect your wrestlers, etc. But what a fucking cheek. Jack Rhea, the man behind the Zack Gibson character, has been wrestling under Liverpool's number one Zack Gibson for years now. Certainly many years before he even went to WWE. And now they want ownership of a name that they didn't even create. And the same goes for Pretty Deadly. Even though Sam Stoker and Lewis Howley haven't been competing under the names for as long as Zack Gibson had, it was still a name they had on the indies, it was still a name they got over, got recognised by, most prominently in IPW UK, which is sadly no longer open or trading. But if WWE wanted to trademark the names of their talent, then you should have repackaged them when they joined the company, and not try to cash in on names that basically they own. I mean, I'm assuming that Zack Gibson and Pretty Deadly have signed over the rights to the names they created to WWE, which puts them in a predicament. If they ever leave NXT UK, or if, you know, NXT UK just ceases to exist, because WWE will own them names, and they will not be able to use them on the indies or anywhere else, in fact. Zack Gibson is pretty much safe now. He seems to be more of an NXT regular than an NXT UK regular, but that could all change once NXT UK comes back, because roles have changed over in America in NXT UK. Grizzled young veterans haven't been able to, go to America. They've been in England actually recently. They opened the Future Shock Wrestling School back up. So it's all up in the air what's going to happen with them. But signing away the names you created and the names you're best known under on the indies, it just doesn't sit right with me. The other trademark WWE have applied for is the NXT UK Heritage Cup. Now, this was reported some months ago, but as I said about Tenant Talks, it wasn't on the cards, so it didn't come up. This points to some kind of tournament, hopefully when the Brand return, because they need something huge to really kick off Phase 2, if you like. Now, there's almost nothing known about this that I know of, and I've tried to keep my finger on the button. But it's encouraging that they're planning ahead, and hopefully this will be a pay-per-view event like King of the Ring. Now that they've been away for a while, I think more pay-per-view events for NXT UK would be a welcome addition. We've got NXT TakeOver. I can see NXT UK TakeOver Heritage Cup. I can see something like that in the future. And fingers crossed we go back to Blackpool, because I quite like Blackpool and I am desperate to go back. I am going to take a very short break. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to get the voice and the throat back to normal. And then once I return, we will crack on with NXT UK episode 107. But in the meantime, I will leave you with the star of this episode and former WWE United Kingdom champion, the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne.
I'm the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, and you're listening to the Union Smack podcast.
And we are back, Smackheads, NXT UK episode 107. And for those wondering where the In Your House 5 review went, for those expecting it, that has been put back a week because I only got wind of this being a Hidden Gems episode of NXT UK, therefore new material, therefore matches we'd never seen before, about a day before it aired. So I put In Your House 5 back. That will be with you next Monday. But right now, let's get into some fresh NXT UK, and we've all missed it. You're lying to yourself if you haven't. Or if you just don't watch it, then get on it, because you're missing some quality wrestling. As episode 107 of NXT UK begins, the first thing you realise is that this is going to be low budget and a basic production. Andy Shepherd greets us from his living room and wastes no time in explaining what this episode is, namely dark matches that we've never seen broadcast before. The only way you'd have seen these is if you were in the crowd for the NXT UK tapings on the nights these matches took place. Now, the way NXT UK is spacing these Hidden Gems episodes is very deliberate. We're getting one about every 10 weeks now, with the other episodes being like Superstar Picks and the odd Spotlight episode. We got one on Imperium a while back. So if NXT UK isn't back in the next 2 or 3 months, I expect the next Hidden Gems episode to be around the middle of October. I agree with spacing them out, even though they've got a wealth of dark matches now from almost 2 years worth of tapings, etc. And let's not forget dark matches from the inaugural United Kingdom Championship Tournament and the second annual United Kingdom Championship Tournament and the UK special. Also, I have to add, and this only struck me while I was finished editing my book, NXT UK Year 1, they also have the entire footage from the live event they held the night before the 2017 WWE United Kingdom Championship special. They've never aired any of that, and that is at least a 2-hour show. So they've got that in the back pocket should they should they need to air it. And I'd love to see that aired as a special at some point. You could cut it in two, make it 2 weeks worth of episodes. That's absolutely fine, but definitely air it, or some of the matches from it, because I do know that one or two are absolute corkers. One thing I have to add now before we get deep into this, and I said this the last time we reviewed an NXT UK Hidden Gems episode, almost 10 weeks ago, and it seems like 10 years, is that Andy Shepherd, the great Andy Shepherd, he's been absolutely marvellous during this pandemic. He's been active on social media, keeping the brand in the public eye. He's hosted this show every week and kept it engaging, even when it was clear there was zero material to work with. Without Andy Shepherd, these last few months, NXT UK would have been in a much worse condition. So I hope when the history books are written in the future, and maybe I'll be the one to write them, who knows what comes after year one, Andy, I hope he gets his fair share of praise for keeping this brand alive, and the recognition for doing for the brand what he's already done. After he's explained to us what this episode of NXT UK is, the first video package airs, and it is to hype Adam Cole versus Zack Gibson for the NXT Championship. This is from June the 16th, 2019, and the 2019 Download Festival. A little bit of background for you now. NXT stars were brought over to compete against and alongside NXT UK talent. And for some reason, the Download Festival dark matches weren't recorded before each episode of NXT UK like they usually would be. They were just thrown randomly in the middle of tapings, and you can read more about that in my new book, which is out next month, finally. This was Adam Cole's second dark match at the Download Festival. He also defended the NXT Championship against Dave Mastiff, which I seriously doubt NXT UK would ever show. Because if they did, and obviously Adam Cole won and retained the championship, that smashes the kayfabe that Dave Mastiff was unbeaten until he fought Joe Coffey at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, the month after the Download Festival episodes aired. As the match begins, Andy Shepherd and a returning Vic Joseph dub over commentary, because obviously there was none at the time, they were dark matches. And bringing Vic Joseph back, it's a welcome return because I've missed Vic Joseph. Tom Phillips has been really good on commentary with Nigel McGuinness and, of course, with Andy Shepherd. But I have missed Vic Joseph. He gave NXT UK a different life in the brand's first year alive. And he was very, very good. And it was a shame when he got promoted to Raw that it didn't go further for him. But NXT UK missed him. And I've missed him on commentary. But like I said, it's a perplexing choice because Nigel McGuinness is free and furloughed in the UK right now because he can't travel to the USA. So why not get him to do it and give him some work to do? It's a baffling choice to get Vic Joseph to do it from America when Nigel McGuinness is already here in the UK where Andy Shepherd is based. Shepherd and Joseph sounds like a crap BBC detective comedy, doesn't it? Shepherd and Joseph. They never really hit it off, I'll be honest. They struggle a little throughout the show, and you can tell they have almost zero chemistry. As for this match, there's a nice beginning. Adam Cole looks confused at the crowd singing "Where's My Car" stereo at Zack Gibson, which is it's very funny actually. But the bout soon gets into the swing of things with some nifty wrist work, which Adam Cole works into a jumping neck breaker. That's very nice. Zack Gibson grabs the advantage with a throat chop and then goes to the arm of Adam Cole as the bout takes a nice methodical pace. This one's a slow burner, but then with two of the best in the world in the ring, I wouldn't want them to blow their load 5 minutes in. Giggly. Now, usually I'd sit here and complain about the fans taking over the match with chants towards Gibson, but to be honest, I've missed it. And hearing it again after all this time, it's a welcome addition, I'll be honest with you. Especially when they all stood up singing "If You Hate Gibson, Stand Up," and then broke into a tune of "If You Hate Gibson, Sit Down." And Zack Gibson reacted perfectly to them. I don't think, although you'll read a lot of it in the book, because obviously the book was written before the pandemic. But I don't think I'll ever complain about the fans doing a hostile takeover of a Zack Gibson match or an NXT UK takeover event ever again, because you just don't know what it's got till it's gone, and once it's gone, you miss it like crazy. Adam Cole nails a lovely super kick to turn the tide of the bout, and then a bicycle kick which he turned into a lovely ushigoroshi, which bring the crowd to their feet. And he's not done there. He nails an enziguri and follows up with a backstabber, and everything Adam Cole does here just looks absolutely amazing. Gibson rallies back with an excellent high-angle backdrop, and what follows is a series of stunning reversals. Shankly Gates into the last shot, which Gibson avoids, and then turns into Ticket to Ride, and then Adam Cole counters with a super kick. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And it flows well as well. There's no stopping in the middle like like it's jolty. It just flows from one to the next. Marvellous stuff. Gibson counters a Panama Sunrise and cracks the champion with a flying Ticket to Ride and a Helter Skelter for a near fall. Back and forth this match goes. Cole catches Gibson with a super kick as he comes off the second rope, hits a brainbuster neckbreaker onto his knee, and then connects with the last shot for the victory in a great opening match. The only real gripe I have here, and nothing's perfect in professional wrestling. There's always something that can be better. There's always something to complain about, etc. And I try and remain impartial. You good people know this. So the only real gripe here is that at the time of recording, Zack Gibson was one half of the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, obviously along with James Drake as the Grizzled Young Veterans. He should have been protected by this finish, but he wasn't. And that just niggles me a little bit. That he's one half of your Tag Team Champions in front of his home fans. I mean, home fans being British people against an American at least. And this was a running theme when NXT stars came over to battle NXT UK stars in dark matches, is that the NXT UK stars would always inevitably end up losing in front of their home supporters, and it did them no good at all. If you're going to get this crowd into these stars more, then they have to go over bigger names. It's no good bringing a huge star here just to beat the homegrown talent, and then that basically says to the audience, well, look, he's no good. He can't even beat one of the biggest stars in NXT. They booked themselves into a corner, making it for the NXT Championship, but it was a great match. Okay, I'm going to leave the griping there. There's more. I've done more than enough of it in the book, and I'm bored of moaning about the same thing over and over again. So great match. Do go out of your way to check this one out. I thoroughly recommend the view. Next, we got a video package for Xia Brookside versus Nina Samuels, which we are told is up next. And a For Valkyrie vignette, and I always struggle to say that name, For Valkyrie. I always pronounce the A, and I don't need to. For Valkyrie vignette airs, in which she is stood up a tree, basically, in her best Xena Warrior Princess outfit. She says that it's time for NXT UK to undergo a transformation, and she has been watching for so long. The gist of this is that she wants the NXT UK Women's Championship, and she says that we will all witness the rise of the Valkyrie. That's a very good line. I like that. Now, don't get me wrong. For Valkyrie versus Kaylee Ray could be excellent. In fact, it could be a show stealer at TakeOver once they've done Kaylee Ray versus Piper Niven, which they're still hanging on to, and I know for certain fact that they're going to carry on with when they get back up and recording. But I think For Valkyrie needs more ring time and a bigger build for fans to take her seriously. What we've seen so far was fine. It's never been anything more than fine. I wouldn't even go as far to say it's been impressive. It's just been, something to do the job. So if you can give For Valkyrie 6 months, solid build, not at the expense of the rest of the women's division, obviously, but, Toni Storm would be a great person for For Valkyrie to go over. Toni Storm is as good as Dunne in NXT UK now, even when it comes back and we haven't seen her for 5 months. She's still as good as Dunne in NXT UK. I would like to see For Valkyrie booked against Toni Storm, and then For Valkyrie go over in the feud-ending collision to earn a shot at Kaylee Ray. And then, maybe, we're in August now, so maybe January, maybe NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 3. For Valkyrie can be the one to believably beat Kaylee Ray and end that mammoth run that she's on, that will have gone 18, possibly 19 months by the time we get into the first takeover of 2021. Valkyrie is right, however, about one thing, and that is when it returns, NXT UK needs to undergo a huge transformation, both on and off screen. There's no way it can continue to do what it was doing before the break, especially if it wants to move onwards and upwards and build new stars. Before this pandemic hit, it was becoming stale, it was becoming predictable, it was still churning out good matches, but it almost felt like the star making had stopped, and they were booking themselves into a rut with the same names being relied on over and over again. People said that this pandemic would kill NXT UK off and it would never return. I disagree. I think this pandemic could be the best thing to happen to NXT UK in its very short lifespan. They've had 5 months to decide which new stars they want to build, decide which new stars they want to push, write brand new storylines that make sense. There's been absolutely zero rush for them to put a 2-year plan together. So when it comes back, I am expecting something drastically different and much more interesting than it has been in the months before it disappeared. The encouraging thing about this vignette, however, is that it's a new production. The NXT crew have clearly been out and about to film this on location somewhere, which means at least part of the brand is back in production. That has to be good news. They're no longer sat planning on what they're going to do. It's all written down, it's all done. They're back out on the road recording new vignettes. That has to be a plus. The next promo that airs is For the Hunt, in which Primate Jay Melrose says that in March 2020 the world went into chaos, and Mike Hitchman, Wild Boar, the Great Wild Boar, lists off the most important tag teams on the NXT UK roster. We then see the Hunt training in ring for the NXT UK revival as they grunt and growl over the top. We can't really tell what they're saying in the promo, but it's standard Hunt if you've ever seen one of their audible pieces. Like the previous vignette for For Valkyrie, parts of this have clearly been filmed professionally, and it's just another pointer to the fact that NXT UK is back in business, even if it's in a small way. That they're back on the right track. Next, we get a second video package for Xia Brookside versus Nina Samuels, in which Xia Brookside looks absolutely amazing. Down boy. Xia Brookside versus Nina Samuels. This is from March the 6th, 2020, and took place during NXT UK's final television tapings before the pandemic hit. This was also Xia Brookside's first match since November the 3rd, 2019. She suffered an injury in a match with Lana Austin at DNA Wrestling Fight Fiction and just was not cleared to compete. Nina Samuels, I'm glad to be saying that name again. Me and Travis have talked about her so much over the past few months and especially over the past year when we've reviewed NXT UK weekly. And she's a great talent, and I'm glad we're talking about her again. She gets a brand new entrance video here, and it makes her look even more classy than she already is. And I have missed Nina Samuels. I know Travis has missed her more, the dirty old dog. But before this, this pandemic broke, and I hate to keep bringing it up, she wasn't used properly. They sort of held her back, had nothing for her, almost didn't know what to do with her, if you like, and that they resisted pushing the stable with her and Ginny, the House of Couture stable that they have in progress, and she just fizzled out. But this match proves how much potential she's got. It proves that she can go with the best in the division, and she needs exploring, giggity, when NXT UK returns, and she needs exploring in a big way, because there's so much potential there, and I think it's still untapped. She's had stints in progress and all across the UK independent scene, but I still think there's more Nina Samuels that is still to come out, and I'm looking forward to watching it come out. That's sounding wrong. As for this match, Xia Brookside hits a dropkick to start with and applies a wrist lock. Nina breaks the wrist lock with a cartwheel, turns it into a wrist lock of her own, which looks really, really slick. And what follows just shows how good she is in the ring when she's given the time. Applies the head scissors, all her transitions just flow. Very, very nice indeed. There's a lovely moment when Xia Brookside is on all fours, and for all the teenage boys and single horny men out there, single and horny, or single or horny, I don't discriminate, I'll just leave you with the image for 5 seconds of Xia Brookside on her hands and knees. So she's on all fours, Nina Samuels falls over backwards over her, and then Nina tries the same, but is outsmarted by Brookside, who hits a nice double stomp off of the ropes. That's very good and very funny, and it's very reminiscent of Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart at In Your House, which we'll get to in a week or two. Xia nails a lovely broken wings into the corner, and you really appreciate how well this is put together by this point. Nina is caught trying to hook the tights by the referee. She turns into a high kick by Brookside and a flying crossbody from the top rope, which finishes her off. And I'm sure Xia will rename that Fly with Brookside if she hasn't already, because why not? It fits into the gimmick. It fits into all her merchandise, which is labelled with Fly with Brookside. So I wouldn't be at all shocked to learn that has already happened. Like I said with Nina Samuels, both of these women need the biggest push when NXT UK returns, because they're the future of this division. And AEW stands out there, want to brag about their lackluster women's division being the best in the world, and we've got the Japanese girls, and we've got Nyla Rose, and we've got this and that. Well, take a ticket, because NXT UK legitimately has one of the best women's divisions in the entire world. And anyone who knows anything will be able to attest to that. Have they always proved it with the booking? Absolutely not. But the sheer amount of talent in that locker room, Kaylee Ray, Toni Storm, Nina Samuels, Xia Brookside, Isla Dawn, Piper Niven, For Valkyrie, and the list goes on, and I'm sure I've forgot one or two. Ginny, there you go, I forgot Ginny. But when you stack that division up against NXT's women's division, again, one of the best in the world, I would say that NXT UK and NXT have the best women's divisions in the world today, and that is a hill that I'll die on. We are given a video package for the main event of this episode, which is Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight himself, versus Alexander Wolf. And then a highlight package / video package / vignette, whatever you prefer to call it, is shown for South Wales Subculture, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. In this, they say that they could not think of a better year for South Wales Subculture, as we see them winning the NXT UK Tag Team Championships at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. The package then takes a downward turn when we see them losing at Blackpool. We see them losing on Raw to the Viking Raiders, or whatever they're called now. The Viking Experience, or the Raiding Experience. Whatever WWE have decided to call them now. I don't know. I don't watch the main roster. The pair then admit that 2020 has been less than great for them, and Andrews is then the focus and says that he will find whoever attacked him when he returns to action. Now, this is delivered by Andrews and said in such a way that it makes you believe that the attacker actually could be Flash Morgan Webster. And it should be Flash Morgan Webster, because for regular listeners of our NXT UK episodes, we have said it time and time again, a heel turn would push Flash Morgan Webster right to the top of the card and rejuvenate a tired Mark Andrews, who is great in the ring, there's no doubt about that, but his character has become very weary, very predictable, and I would love and pay good money to see a Mark Andrews Flash Morgan Webster blood feud in 2020 before Webster goes for the NXT UK Championship. I will say, before they come back, whether he's going to be face, whether he's going to be heel, Flash Morgan Webster needs to trim his lockdown beard, because I would not know now whether to cheer for him or throw 50 pence in his cup. The final video package reminds us of how Alexander Wolf joined Imperium in 2019. And our main event, ladies and gentlemen, of this episode is only 3 matches long, which is good. It gives the matches time to breathe, and the video packages, time to really mean something instead of rushing them along. Pete Dunne versus Alexander Wolf from July the 20th, 2019. And if you're bored of hearing me gush over Pete Dunne, then now's the time you can probably all tune out, because, my God, seeing Pete Dunne in an NXT UK ring, or any ring for that matter, just makes everything better in the world. I have missed him so much. He's stranded here in the UK at the minute. He can't fly because of the pandemic. So that's the reason you've not seen him on NXT UK television for the longest time. It's been so long that the Broserweights have lost the Tag Team Championships. Matt Riddle's been on SmackDown for about a month. That's how long Pete Dunne has been away from NXT UK. But with borders opening soon and flights taking off from the UK and people able to go to other countries on holiday now, I'm sure you will see Pete Dunne back in an NXT UK ring very, very soon. Talking of Pete Dunne, he gets a huge reception here, and it just goes to show how important and instrumental he was to NXT UK and the British wrestling scene. And that he was still popular, even though at the time of recording, he was as good as on his way to NXT full time. He was done with NXT UK television. He was on his way to NXT full time, but people don't care. Anytime a British person in a wrestling audience hears his theme tune, guaranteed great reaction, just like Hulk Hogan. Neither man wastes any time, and they go at it with punches straight from the off, and this is going to be a war, it's going to be a slog, it's going to be a hard-hitting match. There's a lovely beginning as Dunne avoids everything Wolf has to throw at him. He nails an impact clothesline, throws himself over the top rope onto Wolf with a slingshot suicide dive. Outside the ring, Dunne targets the arm of Wolf with joint manipulation, stomps on his bent elbow twice on the steel steps, which looks sick. And then Alexander Wolf tries to bail, but Pete Dunne cuts him off, stomps on the bent elbow again in the aisle, and a fourth proves to be too much. He went to her once too often. Wolf trips him on the apron and takes advantage. Lovely flying clothesline from the German, which is followed by several whips into the turnbuckle. Wolf applies a really nice stretch. I don't know what it's called. I really must find the name of it. I've only ever seen it used 2, maybe 3 other times. He sort of grabs... Pete Dunne's on his side. Wolf grabs his right arm, he grabs his right ankle, and he just bends him backwards across his knee. And it's beautiful, actually. Dunne avoids an elbow drop, counters with a rebound German suplex, a corner enziguri, and then reverses Wolf's German suplex by landing on his feet and nailing an X-plex. He then counters an axe kick and snaps the ankle as he would the fingers. That's very nice. Wolf hits a lovely slingshot suplex, which almost breaks Pete Dunne's neck on landing. I think my heart nearly stopped for a few seconds when he landed. Dunne uses a forearm to counter a flying clothesline and stomps repeatedly on the head. Wolf's buckle bomb counters a flying triangle choke, and a DVD gets him a near fall. They trade enziguris, axe kicks. Wolf counters the bitter end into a German suplex, and then it's all go as they reach the final furlong. Pete Dunne counters a super German suplex from the top rope, lands on his feet, and then pays tribute to Tyler Bate with the Kappa kick, and then the bitter end for the victory. Of course he won. Of course. Why do you think I'm in such a good mood this week? And this is a really good dark match. Of course it is. It's Pete Dunne. And it should have been on television, but I do understand why it wasn't. It wouldn't have done Imperium any good as they headed into TakeOver Cardiff, as they headed into the arse end of 2020, to have lost on television to the man Walter Beat, and the man that wasn't going to be around much longer anyway. This wasn't Pete Dunne's last NXT UK match, but it was his penultimate NXT UK match, his final one, which I do hope they show, because I wasn't in attendance for it the night after TakeOver Cardiff, and I wish I had been. But his final NXT UK match came against Fabian Eichner in Wales, and I hear that was a great outing as well. This is a very good episode of NXT UK, and it helps to fill the gap left by the brand during this fucking pandemic. It features 3 good matches and some really good wrestling, and what more do you want? If I had to give it a grade, I think it's unfair to grade it, because it's not an actual event. It's just there to fill a gap while they come up with something else. But it deserves a solid B+ if I had to grade it, and I thoroughly recommend it to you. You shouldn't be disappointed by any of the 3 matches on this show. And for me, it just enforces how much I've missed NXT UK, and I can't wait to be there live when it finally returns. And of course, like I've said before, the positive to come out of all of this were the new production on the vignettes. NXT UK is back in a small way, and very soon it will be back in a massive way on our televisions. And let's begin phase 2 of NXT UK, because I absolutely cannot wait. That is it for me, ladies and gentlemen, for this week. Thank you very, very much for joining me. I apologise for the late schedule change, but I will be back with you next week with In Your House 5. And until then, don't forget to go back on the channel, check out anything you've missed. We've got to be at least 90 episodes deep into Union Smack now in 3 years. There's plenty for you to sink your teeth into. Follow me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. Follow Travis on Twitter at The Habiki TMD. unionsmack.bigcartel.com for all your merchandise needs from all of Travis's shows. And of course lulu.com, where you can purchase my first book, The Undertaker: A Trip Down Death Valley. And very soon, next month, NXT UK Year 1. In fact, keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter page in the coming week and a half for the reveal of the cover. Nahuel, who is drawing it, who has provided all of the illustrations for the book this time around, he did a fantastic job on the Undertaker cover, so high hopes. I can't thank him enough for all he's done for this book. So keep your eyes open on my Twitter feed for the reveal of the cover. I know it's going to be brilliant. I've seen rough sketches and I can't wait to see the finished product. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me rabble on about something that I love. And I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves, wear a mask, stay safe. Cheerio, mates.